Through 3.8 billion years of research and development, nature has shown us how to engineer in such a way that we design out waste. In the following film, Sustainability is an Engineering Challenge, we embark on a journey of discovery. Through a series of brief interviews and some footage elucidating Unusual's new HQ built in alignment with circular economy principles, we delve into what people and companies are doing to contribute to the great transition towards an economy that is regenerative by design. One of my key passions, and something that I trained in over the last 7 years, was to gain a master's in the circular economy. And the idea of a circular economy, basically, from an unusual point of view, is that we still do what we do. We're just changing how we do what we do so that we can contribute to this idea of an economy that mimics nature. So nature, there's no such thing as waste. Waste is a product of bad design. So we're looking at where we can completely eliminate waste and basically reuse our resources again and again and again to ensure that our carbon footprint becomes actually more restorative in general. And as a simple description of the circular economy, most people understand what a circle is, but a lot of people get lost on the idea of economy. And the easiest way for me to think of that is to go right back to the Greek word for the economy, which is oikonomos, which is 2 words which mean household management. So how well are we managing our home, the planet? How effective are we with the finite resources we have? So from an unusual point of view, we're working with technical materials, steel, aluminium, technical equipment. So our job is to ensure that we reuse it as often as we can.
We've got a job out at the minute, Eurovision Song Contest, where there's 3 or 4 trucks of truss on it, plus another 600 hoists. So it's all stuff that comes back from jobs, gets checked, made sure it's all right, detaped, restacked, ready to go, and then goes out again on jobs. From a circular economy point of view, it's fantastic because we're not throwing anything away, we're reusing time and time and time again.
I get pulled up about absolutely everything by my 19-year-old daughter that's just gone to university in Bristol. And I think that we have a duty to keep the planet as best we can for the future generation.
At the Opera House, one of the things that we've done is we've designed a modular scenery. So we designed it as an infill for the stage, so that gives about 4 metres depth of the stage, and we can build staircases into it. We designed a new version of this infill so that we could have a modular kind of aspect to it, so it's like a fancy Meccano. And it means that we're going to use that modular scenery or aspects of it on 3 of our 4 ring cycle shows coming up. So that gives the basis upon which to build your designed scenery. In essence, it doesn't affect the design per se, it just allows us to use the framework upon which the design is made to have a modular aspect to it.
A way of becoming more modular with your products?
Exactly. I mean, I know that modularity, when it comes to the art people, they hate the word because it limits their freeness of creativity. So it took years to talk to the theaters, not only to the technicians, but also to the set designers. When we started 30 years ago developing our products, that was the basic idea, because as we were very focused on theaters and not on the rental and rock and roll or convention business, I traveled to the theaters in Germany and Austria and Switzerland the first 5 years, twice a year to each theater. So I get a big experience in what they're doing and how it works. And when it comes to the set design, the first thing we figured out that it was really a waste of material, because they're building beautiful sets and just throw them away after 5 years when the piece is done and maybe a new artistic director is coming and he said, no, we need a new opera because it's not my opera. And so the basic idea was, when we developed the product, is we would like to give them a product that they can reuse in all their coming sets, to support them with a product line that they can reuse for minimum 20 years. And if I look into that today, We never got a call from a customer where he needed a new aluminum system frame because the old one was broken. The lifetime of our product is 20, 30 years, easily.
In July 2023, we began construction for the new Unusual HQ and research building. It intends to be a shining testament to key circular economy concepts, with waste designed and engineered out from the very start. A modular design, engineered with carbon sequestering materials selected over traditional high carbon ones, the research building will also operate on 100% renewable energy, supporting us in meeting our net zero timeline. We've invested in sustainability consultants from the pre-planning stage through to guide us with detailed data analysis of the embedded CO2 emissions associated with all materials selected, including the CO2 emissions associated with transportation. We've been further supported in our aspirations by our architects, Corsafin and Wright, through the Stage 3 detailed design process, looking at instances where we can use pre-existing materials, such as tiles and stones retrieved from old buildings and excavation grounds from across the local region, plus steel from our own yard that can be upcycled for reuse. Overall, we have pushed the boundaries of what is conventionally considered sustainable, and by sharing our experiences, including the obstacles we faced, we hope to inspire others in the industry to embrace sustainable engineering practices wholeheartedly.
If you like, there's a huge amount of resource, whether you're talking about equipment, set props, costumes that companies store, and there is a good culture of sharing in Scotland, but there still are lots of barriers, and the barriers are really about visibility. Other kind of side of that is about how we work as a sector and share information as well as resource. And the statistic that 70% of the workforce are freelancers, 30% are full-time, yet many of the systems that exist at the moment are geared at that 30% and not at how the largest proportion of the workforce work together. So that those kind of ideas were kind of at the beginning of the kind of idea behind Centerline. And also I was involved in creating a piece of software a number of years ago, which was about improving the collation of information within one organisation. And just kind of looking into the learnings from that, we kind of started to kind of evolve our thinking into a kind of a system that could help us share better, not just within one organisation, but across organisations. So that was really the beginning of Centerline as an idea back in 2019.
We even today think about also taking back products from other companies as a service. If they would like to change, for example, to our product, that we offer them the possibility of giving the old products to us back, and we can then decide if we recycle or if we find customers like small theater groups that maybe would like to use it still because it is old but still okay, and then we could offer them this for a good price to give it to them, because we have a good network to all theaters.
Sort of a sharing economy.
Exactly.
Better use of resources on the planet and you're operating like this platform, I suppose, in a way, where because you've outlined you have this network, theatre number 2 can say, oh, we've got these products we don't need anymore, and you say, theatre number 16 over there, exactly. I know they're looking for this.
Exactly. That's a service we offered already for a long time. We have some products, for example, like turntables. We designed a turntable as a modular system, and we have a database. So whenever there is a theater needing a 14-meter turntable, but having only a 10-meter turntable, they can call us, and we tell them, well, in your neighbor city, there is the ring 14. You can take it, and you can use your motors, your control, but you can add this ring, and then you have the 40-meter turntable if theater A is not using it in that time. So that's a service we have already.
Do you think Centerline could be a database of sorts that shares innovations towards sustainability, engineering towards sustainability by by companies. For example, if you had us unusual on your database, here's a rigging company. If you want them to hang your stuff in the Theatre Royal in Edinburgh, these are their rates, whatever. Oh, and by the way, they've won an award for the Circulars for their innovations towards the circular economy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like right now, you can exist on Centrelink as a supplier, and you can include what services you provide, and there's nothing to stop us adding in the ability to add your green credentials into that as well, so that that becomes a priority for companies to find suppliers with high green credentials, then they sit higher on the search results.
We are now working on a new product line that is for building of walls in theaters. Right. As you know, they use all these high painted walls for the background. And there we found a Belgian company that is using 100% recycling of old wood products like pallets or whatever, made into very nice black boards. They are black already full, in a core black, what I think is really interesting. So we are in contact with them now, and we're thinking about offering the clients the covering of the walls in black mats as a service, so they can use it then. And that would be a 100% recycled product. We do not matrix those. We have only the materials steel, aluminum, and wood. That's the three materials we use. We in the past we tried to find alternatives to wood, because we thought it might be a good idea to have some recycling products to use them, but this is really difficult. I looked into that for a few years now, but I never found an alternative that is price-wise comparable to wood, and on the other side based on recycled material, but also the physics the same, like the strength for the loading and so on and so on. So it seems for us today there is no alternative to plywood when it comes to the deckings for our products.
That there are some scenery companies. I think there's one in the Netherlands, and there's a company called Ecomedy, ECOMEDY, who use composite mycelium mixed with fibers to build all sorts of interesting sets. Is this something that you've heard of or are familiar with?
I heard of it, and I'm a bit familiar, as you know, I'm also in the board of the DTHG, what is the German Theater Technic Association, and we of course organizing here in Germany for the theaters workshops. And a few months ago we had a workshop in Leipzig, and there was one subject was working with mushrooms and the material, and we had a lady from the Fraunhofer Institute here. She was explaining the process, and on the other side there was also the customer in Munich, the Residenz Theater. They used that material to build trees on stage, 6 meter high, 40-50 centimeter around, and then made out of mushrooms. And that's a funny process to see how it grows. We started already by the purchase department to train them that they keep an eye on sustainability. When we buy aluminum, we only buy green aluminum. What is a bit more expensive, we are paying now, I think, 10 cents per kilo more in purchase for these kind of aluminum. It's green in terms of the energy that is used for the aluminum manufacturing is green energy. But we both know that producing aluminum is a waste of energy. We know that.
Yeah.
But on the other side, it's recyclable, and we can keep it in the circle for a very, very long time. Waste of energy, but on the other side, we have a good lifetime circle and we can reuse it. So that's one thing. And the other thing is we are now installing photovoltaic on the roof, because also the welding energy is, of course, very high. We can, with our roof here, cover 70% of the energy.
Excellent.
So that's cool.
That's good. Is that in progress? Have you started?
It's in progress, exactly.
Nice.
We have a consultant here, and he is now checking which products and which they work together, and then we make the installation on the roof.
Recently, one of the particular projects that I've done was moving Anne Juliet out of the Shaftesbury Theatre and putting Mrs Doubtfire in. And in that project, we reused about 75-80% of the metalwork, steelwork in the grid from one show to another. So we redesigned Mrs Doubtfire using the items that we already had in the grid, which saved us in a couple of ways. Obviously, you know, we didn't need to remake things, didn't have the transport cost, we didn't have the labour of people getting the metalwork to up in the grid. So it makes sense in multiple ways.
Let us go back in time now, nearly 100 years, to see a downstage hydraulic lift system that was installed in preparation for the premiere of Noel Coward's Cavalcade in 1931. Installed into the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. The system was designed by Edwin E. Sachs and manufactured by the London Lift and Engineering Company, who by this time were the largest stage machinery manufacturer in Great Britain. Despite its size, the whole complex combination of systems operated silently, effectively, and discreetly for many years, hidden from the audiences above. In 2018, Andrew Lloyd Webber and the LW Theatre Group decided to remove the systems which hadn't been used for many years in order to attract the new and more technically demanding shows of the 21st century. In early 2019, the lifts were resurrected by a team of dedicated engineers and historians, ready for their final performance in front of an invited audience. Remarkably, these unused systems were found to be working well despite laying dormant for 50 years. A fitting tribute to the engineers and the showmen of the Victorian era. Part of the system was then carefully removed under controlled conditions and preserved as a museum exhibition, or even to reinstall into another theatre. As we can see, there is much to consider when we understand the principles applied to engineering by our ancestors. This example, this hydraulic lift system, demonstrates some of the key concepts of the circular economy. Specifically, designing for durability, preserving resources. With a view to this system eventually being celebrated by installing it within a new theatre, what better opportunity is there to celebrate as a heritage piece and, importantly, to demonstrate our commitment to more ecological principles moving forward? As an industry of storytellers, we thrive on novelty and are renowned for our infinite creativity and innovation. Hence, the scaling up of circular practices could ensure the industry is both a driving force for societal change, as well as an enabler. We exist on a finite planet, but we have infinite creativity. Let's use it to reimagine how we use all our resources to ensure we are always regenerative by design.